Welcome back to the Sports Media Club podcast at Sacred Heart University. I'm Patrick.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Nick.
And the 2024 MLB season has officially come to an end, naming the Dodgers World Series champions for the 8th time in their history over the New York Yankees in 5 games, which enters us into what could possibly be the biggest free agency in baseball history.
Yeah, we got guys like Soto, who's leading the UFA market, obviously.
Definitely.
He's getting interest from teams like the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Giants. And he considers every MLB team. He said he considers all 32. So we'll see where he wants to go, if he wants to stay with the Yankees. I Yankee fan, I want him back.
Definitely.
I don't know if it's going to happen.
I personally, I'm confident. I think, Cashman, knows what he's doing. I don't think, especially with Hal Steinbrenner's just, they're not letting him.
Mm-hmm.
They're not letting him go. Definitely.
Yeah. That's what I think, too. What do you
I do agree. I just don't think that anyone else will be able to make an offer that's enough more that he'll want to go somewhere else.
Right.
He is expected to sign a deal for $600 million for about 13 or 14 years. So the question is, does he go after the money or does he go after the team itself, investing in the future?
See, what I think personally, the guy won a ring with the Nationals in 2019. He already has a ring, so I'm pretty sure he's gonna go for the money, which does scare me with an owner like Steve Cohen and from the Mets. He's gonna give him maybe even $700 million, maybe even over Shohei's contract, which was ridiculous. But I don't know. We're gonna have to see what he wants.
Right, and he's seen the Mets. He saw the run that the Mets made.
Mm-hmm.
He might think he's the missing piece to get them to that next level.
Yeah.
At the same time, when I saw Soto on the Yankees and I saw him sitting on the bench before that, when I saw him go to the World Series, I said, I think getting him into the World Series is locking him up as a Yankee, because if he wins, he wants to start a dynasty with Judge, one of the best players of the century. And if he loses, like we saw, he sees a loss in the World Series, and that fire in him just wants to come back and win a ring with this team.
Wants to go on a revenge tour, almost.
That's what I think. But it's all up for grabs now.
Definitely.
When are the meetings for each team?
I know the Yankees are meeting with him this upcoming Monday, which would, at the time of this being recorded, this upcoming Monday. And then he's going to meet with the other teams, this upcoming week. So, I don't know. We're just going to have to see. So, but, hypothetically, Yankees don't get Soto. How do they rebound? How do they recover?
Right.
Yeah. It's a shame because, Soto essentially was the one that punched our ticket to the World Series. And the Yankees collectively dropped the ball. Literally Aaron Judge in the 5th inning.
Right.
Yeah.
We were all mortified as New York fans. So, where we go from here, I don't know. But I hope we get Soto.
Definitely.
One could pray. A Yankees fan could pray.
I mean, some possible names that have been mentioned, if they don't get him, Christian Walker from the Diamondbacks. He's honestly, the ideal replacement for Anthony Rizzo. He's got the veteran presence. He's had great hitting stats, he's great at the field, won a Gold Glove. He'd be ideal. And, in the right field position, Santander from the Orioles could make the jump from another AL East team.
Mm-hmm.
That could be, obviously it's not to the level of Soto, but, it'd be definitely a great replacement.
Yeah, hopefully Walker can actually run to the first base when it's grounded to him.
Yeah, that was just abysmal.
Yeah. But we have Walker. We have Alonso on the Mets as well. And then I've heard names like Goldschmidt. So what's the ideal first baseman that you want next season?
Christian Walker, for sure. His glove is going to be hard to beat. So
I think regardless of whether we get Soto or not, I think Walker should be the next priority after Soto.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, and again, with the money that's involved, I mean, there's teams, like you said, the Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, they're all big market. Can the Yankees afford these guys? I think so.
Hey.
I think they can afford anything.
I mean, if it forces us to pay $50 for a chicken bucket at Yankee Stadium, I would pay that much for watching Soto for the rest of my life as a Yankee.
But something else to consider, as if I'm Juan Soto as a Yankee, Aaron Boone is set to return as the manager, and a lot of New York fans are not happy with his work and haven't been happy with his work
Right.
in the past couple of years. So if I'm Juan Soto, that would be going through my head too. Like, is Aaron Boone a good head coach for me?
Right. Do you want to work with him? Do you want to be under him?
Right. So that's another factor that goes into his decision on,
Yeah.
who he signs with in the next season.
Right.
Something about Aaron Boone actually, like, definitely game one should not have put Nestor Cortez in. Something I'm gonna defend Aaron Boone here. He lights fire under his player. Like, he always defends his players, especially when like there's terrible calls
Yes.
in the batter's box with umpires. He gets fired up.
Yes.
Most ejections like out of the managers. Like, he defends his players, and that's something I actually really like. Like,
Yeah.
you don't really see that much anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And then moving on to, I guess, some more free agent and signings and all this. Travis d'Arnaud and Soler both going to the Angels.
Yeah.
So Braves lose d'Arnaud, which I've seen he's a good bat,
He's been
But at the
decent.
same time, they have Sean Murphy.
Yeah, they have nothing to worry about for the Braves. Especially now they're getting Acuna back. I think they're gearing up for another great push up in 2025.
Mhm.
And this doesn't, honestly, for the Angels, like those two signings, like they got to do more. They need to like make a splash almost if they want to like put themselves in the upper echelon in the league.
Right, yeah. They only have, I guess, Mike Trout. So,
Yeah, and how much of Mike Trout do you have? He gets
Exactly.
injured pretty much every year. He's getting up there in age too. Like, when do they call it quits and like send him to like a team that wins?
Exactly, yeah. And then we could touch on, I guess, some of the awards we got. We have Rookie of the Year for the AL. Finalists Kowser, Gill, and Wells, so 2 Yankees.
Definitely.
And then NL rookies, you got Skeens, Merrill, and Churio. Is that how I say it? Churio?
I believe it's Cheerios, but I don't know. I wish I knew, but yeah. So for the AL, I mean, it's really hard to go against Heel because of his he was a Cy Young candidate most of the season. He did crumble a little bit towards like the dog days of the season, but he picked himself back up. Wells, I mean, he had that second half where he was great. And then, like, Kowser's been solid. So that's, like, I think Heel is, like, the front runner.
Yeah.
But, like, in the NL, I love Jackson. I'm a big Jackson Merrill fan. He had a great rookie campaign, but, like, it's hard to beat Paul Skeens. I mean, he's literally nominated for Cy Young. First time a pitcher's been nominated for Cy Young and Rookie of the Year since the late Jose Fernandez.
Which is insane stat.
Yeah.
Insane. And you have... Like Skeens has more of the publicity.
Oh, for
obviously.
sure. Especially with Livy Dunn as
He's
his girlfriend.
coming from
like,
LSU. He's got Livy Dunn, right?
First
And-
round pick, just
101.
Exactly. Yeah.
Literally.
And you just like always are seeing him on an Instagram post,
Yeah,
in the news.
MLB
everything.
Media loves to post about Paul Skeens, and it's going to be hard to beat him for the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, he's a young kid, too. Where do we think he's going to go in the future?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
I'm pretty sure most people think he's not going to be in Pittsburgh.
Right.
Like, call me biased. He could very well be a Yankee.
Right.
Like, maybe like 5 or 6 years down the line. And the Yankees do have a history of picking up former Pirate pitchers like Clay Holmes and Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
So does Skeens follow that pattern? We're going to have to wait and see, I guess.
Right. But if I were, on the Yankees and, deciding who we want to try to pick up, I would have my eyes on him.
Definitely.
As an investment in the long term, because he's a
Right.
young kid, too.
Yeah, eventually, because he did just get to the MLB.
Right.
Yeah, so he'll get there.
Play out his rookie contract and go from there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if we want to keep going with pitchers, also Yankee bullpen, it didn't show well. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So we need more. So we have guys like Blake Snell, right? Who we want to look at. And what are the other pitchers that we're taking?
The main Blake Snell's like one of the main guys, as well as Max Reed. But out in Japan, Roki Sasaki, he's like phenomenal. He'd be great and he's only like 23 years old. He's really young, and the only problem is like, does he join his Team Japan buddies up in L.A. with Otani and Yamamoto? That's the only like concerning thing. Like, a lot of people do think he will be a Dodger. I personally think he's going to be a Dodger. I would hate that, but
I think he's almost a lock to be a Dodger. Like their whole organization for like a bunch of years now have been like really in that market, and they have a few other players, like you stated, Yamamoto and Otani in that clubhouse. So
yeah, it's probably the most realistic sense is he goes to LA.
Definitely.
And the Dodgers, they probably want to set up that duo to have them in the MLB, to have them together as a duo.
Even on top of that, Shohei's gonna be pitching next. He didn't pitch at all this season, and he's gonna be pitching this season, this upcoming season, and like they might lose Walker Buehler in free agency, so that could be a replacement option for them.
And Jack Flaherty too.
Jack Flaherty, yes, good mention. He will be a Yankee, hopefully.
Let's talk about MVP finalists. We got Aaron Judge, Soto, Bobby Witt. None of these guys disappointed their teams.
Not at all.
At all. You know, Bobby Witt, he's a best batting average, right, in AL?
I believe so, yes.
And then Judge, he's one stat away from a triple crown, right?
Yeah, and he almost got it back in 22, so.
And he's always getting stopped at the batting average. But, you know, Judge is there. Is he going to win a second?
Yes.
Without
a shadow of a doubt, Aaron Judge is winning MVP this year.
Fair enough. But Soto, don't discredit Soto and Bobby Witt.
Not at all.
Because they had a stellar season as well. You know, KC into the playoffs.
Definitely. First time they've been to the postseason since, 2015 when they won the World Series?
Something like that, yeah. And he led that team. He led it with Salvador Perez. Led that team to a playoff series again, so he should not be noted. But Judge is he's just a beast. You know,
next level.
He did have a dry period during the season.
Yeah.
You know,
he had a very slow start too.
I know it's like a goofy thing, but when the Paw Patrol curse, he broke the Paw Patrol curse, and then towards the end of the season, he kind of woke up and had a good finish. But I feel like every Yankee had their moment. The season.
Everyone has their strides. Everyone has their lows.
Absolutely.
That's what's gonna happen.
I think these three are very deserving, especially Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. I'm biased because I'm a New York Yankee fan.
Let's talk about Judge's postseason drought. How about that?
I mean,
he had a terrible postseason.
It's not the first time either.
When do we
last few years?
When do we start the conversation of like, is he another Mike Trout? But like the difference is Judge gets in the postseason. Like, he's got to cement himself some way by like having a postseason moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess he had his like in the ALCS when him and Stan hit the back-to-back homers.
Right.
But they went on to lose that game. So how big of a moment is that really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at Judge and you see his droughts. I think what's in him is just when he was in the World Series, at least, he just couldn't handle the pressure.
No.
He was just swinging at any ball he saw. He was just trying to get contact with something, and he couldn't do that.
But I would agree with you up until Game 5. Game 5, he took a couple really good at-bats.
Right.
Definitely.
I believe he hit a home run in that Game 5.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure what changed, but he just looked a lot more comfortable. He wasn't chasing pitches out of the zone, which was the downfall of the rest of his postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think we also need to consider how big of a moment this was for him. Like, this was his first Major League Baseball World Series, and I feel like he could have been in the World Series year one.
Oh yeah.
It just has taken a while for him to get here. So, if I were Judge, I would be, nervous in a sense, because he finally made it, and the eyes on the ring. But
if I'm him, this is bulletin board material. Like he's waking up, he's looking. All right, that was abysmal. We gotta. They need to win next year if they want to forget what that fifth inning was in Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
For sure. And we could talk about the Mets too, where the Mets are going. The manager Carlos Mendoza, he's manager of the year, so they got a great manager.
Definitely.
They have a solid lineup, and Pete Alonso's still a question there, but Lindor's leading that team regardless. Yeah. So
incredible year from Lindor.
Right.
Phenomenal.
So what do you think the projection for the Mets next year is? The ceiling? I guess no, not the ceiling. Is the floor getting into the World Series? Is like World Series or failure next season?
See, that depends on how their offseason goes. It depends on who they bring in. If they go all in this
Right.
season, they get Soto, they go get like an arm like Sasaki or even Corbin Burns, who we haven't mentioned yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they go all in, definitely it's going to be World Series or bust. I think that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, us watching the Mets, right? Like, we saw them just, like, they just exploded in the postseason.
Yeah.
We didn't expect it.
I think this season was definitely a confidence booster for them because
For sure.
this is the first time since 2015 they'd made it this far. So I think going forward they kind of have more, I guess morale and esteem, and,
Yeah.
just keep going forward. And if they happen to get Soto, then it's just going to be,
Yeah.
straight to the World Series. That's what their eyes are going to be on.
For sure.
Yeah, it was that Grimace first pitch. I don't know. Just
Yeah,
started them.
The Mets were like such a fun team to watch. I'm like a Met hater kinda, because the Yankees, but like I'll give them their flowers. They were very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For sure. Pete Alonso, his home run in the series against the Brewers.
Oh, the wild,
that was
top
like
of the ninth.
that was like his moment as a Met, and even though he had that moment, I still think they're gonna move on from him.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be asking for a lot of money, and he's 30 years old now. So
Yeah.
how many good like productive years do you have left with Pete Alonso? I know
Yeah.
baseball is like a sport of longevity. Like, you can have guys who are in their mid-30s still producing,
Mm-hmm.
but with a guy like Alonso, like, it's pretty much a home run or strikeout.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Yeah.
do agree with you. And on top of the fact that they've been linked to Burns, they've been linked to Soto, so I think they'll go heavy in on both of those players.
For sure.
They'll probably get one of them, I would say.
yeah, I feel like it's more like I predicted this. Corbin Burns will more than likely be a Met.
I do agree with you. Yeah.
But like, I just with Corbin Burns though, like, it's kind of a similar situation with Soto. Like, the Orioles traded for him. They
Yeah.
only got 1 year. Like, so I don't think the Orioles are gonna rest easy
Oh,
if
no.
they.
Yeah, they're
Don't
gonna
bring
want to
him
sign
back.
him back for
Yeah.
sure. Let's talk about other awards. Silver Sluggers. The whole Yankees team got a Silver Slugger
Yeah,
award, along with the Dodgers. And 2 of the single Silver Slugger awards went to Aaron Judge and Soto. This is no doubt.
That was
At all.
no brainer.
We got Guerrero at first, Altuve second, Bobby Witt again an MVP, no question. Jose Ramirez and Santander, Perez, Rooker, Smith, all AL Silver Sluggers.
I
All
feel-
these guys are studs.
Yeah, I feel like it's like there's a lot of controversy, like especially like in the Golden Glove category, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like this Silver Slugger lineup was like you can't be mad at any of those picks. Like, they all had great seasons offensively, and they all deservingly so got the Silver Slugger.
Yeah, for sure. And same with we'll go through NL MVP. Silver Sluggers. Bryce Harper, Marte, Lindor, Machado, Hernandez, Merrill, rookie.
Jackson Merrill.
Profar, Contreras, Otani, and Betts. And I mean, again, same
It's
deal.
hard to deny any of those guys from their award. They all deservingly so won the
Right.
Silver Slugger.
Yeah, and let's talk about Mookie Betts. How about in World Series? He did an amazing. I mean, he had a stellar performance in the World Series.
Yeah,
his
destroyed
glove
us.
was on, like his glove was,
Yeah, he flashed a lot of leather in the
Mhm.
in October.
and then his bat as well. Like, I felt like every time he hit something every time. I
Yeah.
thought.
He's a great athlete, and obviously he was a deserving winner
Yeah.
of this award.
And what's even crazier is there was someone on the Dodgers who had an even better postseason. I mean, Freddie Freeman. Like,
Yeah.
need I say more? Like,
I was shocked in the World Series. I was like, this guy, he keeps hitting home runs. Like, he was a threat in the World Series.
Oh yeah, and the Grand Slam, that was every kid's dream. Every kid that played baseball dreams of hitting a Grand Slam in a World Series. I mean,
For
come
sure.
on, that's insane.
Yeah, but
So-
I think this is a good place to end.
Yeah.
We had a great discussion about the offseason.
for sure.
We're gonna wrap it up and take it to the NHL segment.
Welcome back to the Sports Media Club podcast. This is the NHL segment. I'm your host, George, and I'm here with.
I'm Alex.
I'm Dom.
Nick.
And how about the game last night at Madison Square Garden between the Rangers, who won the President's Trophy last year, and the Jets, who are almost on track to do the same this year.
Yeah, no. First off, I'd like to talk. I watched the game last night. It was bad. I think one of the biggest problems when it comes to the Rangers, and I'm not one to call individuals out, but let's talk about Zibanejad for a second. Zibanejad has been arguably like on his downfall for probably the last year or two now. Just these last 2 seasons, his numbers are not good. He has been whiffing on shots that he usually buries 2 or 3 years ago. He just doesn't look the same. Last night he had 3 opportunities on 1 power play in his office, and he whiffs on every single one, or he shoots wide, and he just doesn't look good. I think another problem is the lines. I don't know if you guys pay attention to the lines or not. I think Zibanejad, I like him playing with Smith, but then separating Kreider from that line, I'm not a fan of that move.
I feel like the Kreider and Zibanejad line, I feel like they've been together for so long, and the chemistry, they want to keep it, but something's got to get changed up, because Zibanejad's just been doing the same thing. He hasn't been producing. He's been underproducing for the Rangers, who have him on a $8 million contract, I believe, and this is only the 3rd year. I might be wrong, but Zibanejad has really been underproducing for the Rangers, and he needs to step up to the plate here.
Yeah, needless to say, the Rangers have countless talents across the team. It's just about where they're placing them on which line. And if we want to keep going with the Rangers, Shesterkin turned down earlier this year an $88 million deal. The Rangers, I think he's waiting on this year to dominate, to prove that he deserves maybe more, and he'll reevaluate his contract after the season just to see what he's capable of.
I don't think Shesterkin's proven his point, to be honest with you. Just, his stats are not meeting expectations. You want to talk about, listen, obviously we've seen in other leagues like the NFL and the NBA, they're just, skyrocketing in the prices. You look at the wide receiver market has gotten huge for 2 years ago. Now the running back room is getting, or the running back, contracts are getting massive. But if you look at Igor Shesterkin, we're talking about the highest paid goaltender in history, and not even close. Swayman's getting 8.8, something like that.
Yeah.
Shesterkin getting 12 million. That's $4 million more dollars, and he's going to be the highest paid player on the Rangers. I'm not saying he's not the best player. He clearly is the best player, but he's not even a contender. He's not even in the talks right now of Vezina Trophy. Like I said, we keep saying, I know it's early and everything, but I think 12 million. I was satisfied with 10.5 when I saw 11. I was okay, sure, that's pushing it. 12 million, I don't know, but I mean, we're gonna have to force to sign. I know he's gonna, if he wants that, Drury will totally give it to him.
Right.
The goalie that he lost to last night is having a much better season, and is not even making close to that amount. So it's he needs to have a big playoff run, I'd say, if he wants to make that much money.
Yeah. Hellbuck stats, we got 192 goal against, 12 wins, 1 loss, and a 934 save percentage. I mean,
that's insane.
He's just standing on his head in the net. He's going crazy. He's leading these red-hot Winnipeg Jets to just do unthinkable things,
Yeah.
I think that the Jets are, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah.
The season started only a month ago, and we haven't seen a hot start like this, like the Jets have been, but we've seen stuff like it, like the Bruins, take for example 2 years ago, best record in history of the season, in history of the NHL, and they got eliminated in the playoffs first round. Anything can happen in hockey. I think it's too late, early to predict.
And I would rather peak in April, but right when the playoffs are starting, and then peak in October or November.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And I think that the Jets just have a hot start, and I think eventually they will slow down.
I think the big difference between the Jets and the other teams is the Jets, they don't have like one player who's significantly playing dominant. Like if you look at Panarin, Panarin's leading the team. He has 22 points, and nobody else is close to him right now. Like Lafreniere's got like 12 points. I think Trocheck has 12 points or something. Like if you look at the Jets stats, they have guys like Scheifele, Morsey, Kyle Connor. They all share almost similar numbers, and they're all in different positions. And Hellebuck, like we were saying, is just he's probably on pace to win the Vezina at the moment. And his stats are amazing. Like all the stats from that entire team are good, spread out from every single position.
Yeah, and that's what you need on a team. You don't want talent on one guy and the rest are all just bums doing nothing out there, just doing cardio. You want a spread out talent where the whole team like shares that talent, that chemistry, and just helps each other into winning a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was and I agree. And like with the Rangers, like the lines that were for warm-ups yesterday, just like Will Cooley playing with Smith and not Igor, sorry, God, Mika. Please put Kreider back with Mika. It's just they've been playing with each other on the same line for the last like 5 years now, and they're supposed to be on the same line. And why is Capo Caco playing with Trocheck and
I don't know why they broke up the line
Kreider?
with
Yeah.
Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere.
Like
It's too early to do anything yet.
That was the best
The Rangers
line.
aren't like a bad team.
No, they're not.
Like, I don't know why they're changing things up.
It's like, here's my thing. It's like, we were, over the offseason, we were in the talks of getting rid of Capo Caco, and then all of a sudden we're going to put him on the second line. Like, listen, he was the second overall pick in the 2019 draft. He was supposed to be like our future player, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, we got Lafreniere. We got lucky with that one, whatever. But I don't know, man. I'd stick him with the third line. Keep him with Cooley and Hedl. I thought they were playing really well together. I just don't like Hedl playing with Lafreniere and Panarin. I think they should put Panarin back with Trocheck and Hedl. I'm not saying don't test anything. Obviously, test things. It's early in the season, but just from my standpoint, it's not working.
I agree.
And they changed the defensive pairs as well, I believe.
Yeah. Well, also Lindgren played last night too.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the. I think it was Mancini. Mancini didn't play, and so it was. But they didn't put Lindgren with Fox. They kept Fox with Miller, and they put Lindgren with Zach Jones, I believe. No.
Yeah.
He put him with.
I have a
No, it was.
Was it with Mancini?
No, Mancini didn't play last night.
I have it right here. It's Lindgren and Fox, Miller, Trouba, Jones, and Schneider. That was the projected from last night, and I guess that's who played together.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was Miller and Fox playing together last night. I could be wrong, but I think obviously Rangers are having a defense problem too. I like Mancini, but Trouba, it's hard to get rid of Trouba because he's kind of the captain of the team and whatnot.
I miss Gustafsson.
Yeah, seriously, he wasn't bad. He played really well.
I liked him how he did for us last year.
Yeah.
So when does it come down to? Is it a coaching problem?
Absolutely not. No.
Well,
no way.
If you think about it, like he's the one changing the lineups.
Yeah, but if
why
you look
is he doing it?
Yeah, but look
yeah,
at last year. He made it to the he made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Best team in the league.
I think that they've fired like way.
We fell just short of the cup.
Yeah.
The
Florida
problem.
was too good.
Here's the thing. Problem with David Quinn is David Quinn was young and he didn't really have any NHL coaching
but
experience.
we also, when we had David Quinn, I think we were in the state of we need to
rebuild.
win. We were in the state of rebuild. Like, who
Yeah.
do we have? Our best player was
Mika probably.
Lafreniere though. Let's talk about that.
Oh.
Let's talk about that. Lafreniere had less than 10. He had there were several games in Lafreniere's rookie season where Lafreniere had less than 10 minutes playing in the entire game.
Yeah.
That is not how you develop a young player. And I'm not saying that David Quinn was the person who was going to develop the Rangers. It clearly wasn't. He was out the door next year. It was obvious.
Yeah.
But my problem with Gallant was just like, okay, here are the lines. That's it. Let's just go out there and play. He never did anything. He never changed anything. He just kind of came in and kind of rearranged the lines, but he didn't have a system. Laviolette has a system, and that's the difference. And I do think Laviolette is going to do something with his team, but I think it has to happen now because of the Rangers. If you look at their, situation right now, Capo Caco, he's going to be an RFA next year. You got Cooley, VC, obviously, Lindgren, Miller. They're all on, this is all their last year on their contracts.
That's why they say like this is like the last year of the Rangers core.
Yeah, and that's not even considering Shesterkin either too.
Yeah.
So
What do you think of Perot coming up next year?
who?
Gabe Perot.
I liked him. I think he did really well in preseason. I just don't know how he's gonna fit in the lineup. If anything, I think he's gonna replace Carrick. But it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I think with him, he's coming up he's really looked good in college hockey, so I'm pretty excited to see what he can do for us next year. Hopefully, he comes up.
Let's talk about how about Crosby. He signed a 2-year, $8.7 million AAV back in Pittsburgh. He loves that 87 number, as you can see by his contract. Do you think this is the right move for Pittsburgh, or you think they're still trying to build a system around Crosby? Do you think Crosby is ever going to win another championship in Pittsburgh?
Well,
not,
I think
not with this
no.
Pittsburgh team.
No.
I think just like because Crosby's like such an iconic player there, they like almost have to keep him for his whole career. But
Right.
it's like the team is pretty much
Yeah, he's
cooked. I think.
I think that they're just having him to stay.
Yeah. Sell
Like it's,
tickets
I
and
think
jerseys.
they're like not looking like a playoff team. Like right now, let's see where they are. They're at the bottom of the Metro.
Yeah.
They're 6-9-2.
Yeah.
Not the best. And Crosby. I think
My-
they just got him because he wants to retire Penguin.
Yeah. No,
That's my
100%.
guess.
My point of view is I think Crosby is like sentimental value to the Penguins.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just keeping him because they know he's out. I honestly thought Crosby was going to have his last year like this year. Like I thought it was going to be it. Clearly the Penguins want to hold on to him, but like I was saying, I think guys like Crosby, Malkin, Letang, they're all out the door pretty soon. It's just
they're
sentimental value.
late 30s. It's hard to sustain that
Yeah.
level of play for that much longer.
I think
Right.
Ovechkin. On the topic of Ovechkin, I think this would be, it's going to be close. It's going to be really
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
But this could be the year.
He
It'll
might-
come down to the
Yeah.
wire if this is the year. Though.
Yeah.
Could I shift over to the Pacific
Yeah, go
division?
Well, real quick before while we're still talking about Ovechkin, he's 31 goals away from breaking Gretzky's record.
Yeah.
You said he breaks it this season. I think so as well.
I think it might be at the end.
Yeah.
He had a down year last year, but it's like he has like 10 goals in 14 games this year. So he's like at age 39, he's still scoring at a good rate.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he has the team to do it this year too.
Mhm.
Like the
If
Capitals
it's
are
good.
good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They improved.
They look
in the
They
offseason.
look really good this year, actually.
Yeah.
Like they look really surprisingly
Yep.
good. Ovechkin looks like he's 20 years old,
Oh yeah.
skating around.
You see, he's like
Crazy.
back to being the Russian goal machine that
Yeah.
everyone's seen.
Yeah.
Constant seasons. He had he had that slow season last year. I think
Yep.
it's like
I
gonna
think
be
he
like
breaks
a
the record in April.
I
Yeah.
think it's like
That'd be
gonna be
cool.
like a
It's gonna be
Hollywood
awesome
moment.
to watch.
Oh yeah, that
Something
definitely.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Don, would you want to?
I just wanted to say that the Oilers. What do you guys think of that? They're
They get off to slow starts
they have
almost
a really
every year it seems.
They're like fifth in the Metro. I mean, in the
Pacific?
Pacific. I'm sorry. Their record 6-7-1.
Yeah.
They'll make the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I think McDavid.
They're-
I just wanted to say like McDavid. He's crazy.
McDavid will win.
Yeah.
McDavid will win the Art Ross.
Yeah.
The Oilers will come back. They will make it to the Stanley Cup final again.
They'll be fine.
And if they don't, they'll come close. Like
Yeah.
you can't look at Connor McDavid. And if you watch the documentary, you cannot look at Connor McDavid and say this guy is not hungry for the cup.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was like
He-
fired up in the
That
wouldn't
locker
even-
room
locker room.
speech.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't
I've
even.
seen.
He wouldn't even go out to
Dig
accept the
in.
Conn Smythe. You think
Yeah.
that guy is just gonna let down?
No.
He's
No.
got the team to do. He's got Hyman. He's got Draisaitl. He's
Yep.
got these guys to do it. I think we see the Oilers back in the Stanley Cup
Yep.
final.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, the Panthers 11-4. They're at the top of the Atlantic. They're a great team as well. They have
Definitely.
stars all over their
Yep.
lineup as well.
And Kachuk and Barkov have missed some games this year, and they still won. So
Mhm.
it's impressive for sure.
Reinhardt. He's got the most goals in the league, as
Yeah.
well as Draisaitl
They
and
could
Cole
be a
Caulfield.
dynasty.
They
They
could
have
get in there.
very well.
Yeah.
I'd hate to admit that, but they
Um,
could be one.
They've
Why not
got
s-
all the pieces. Kachuk was definitely a big piece. We saw that last postseason. And we've seen that. How long has he been on the Panthers? 2 years now?
Two
Or
or three
is this
years.
his
This
third?
will be
This
his
is third.
This is his third year.
So when he came to the Panthers originally, right, he was just like I felt like he ended every game. Like overtime, it was like
Yep.
him, and then he ran off the ice with the Panthers. Then he had last season, he wins the Stanley Cup with the Panthers, and now this season, he's probably just want to keep going, keep winning.
Yeah.
You know what's a team? I don't mean to change it, but you know what's a team I'm not impressed with right now? The Nashville Predators. They had
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
great
say that.
That's
offseason.
ugly.
They got Stammer, they got Brady Shea,
Mhm.
they got Jonathan Marchessault, they got all these guys, and they have Saros still too.
They still have O'Reilly.
They still have
Wow,
O'Reilly
O'Reilly.
too, and they are 5-9-2, 16 games played, 32nd in the league.
Just like
This is not good. They have a negative 14 goals against, or goal differential.
Mhm.
I really have no words for this team. It's just
like how we discussed with the Penguins before, it's like they have a bunch of players that are in their 30s, and that doesn't mean like success always.
Right.
It's hard to sustain it.
Yeah.
and like another thing with the team is like they're not losing these games by like massive margins. They're only
Yeah.
losing them like within 1 or 2 goals. Sure, they lost to Utah 4-0. Sure, they lost to Florida 6-2. But if you look at these other games, they're not losing by these massive margins. But it's like they can't, like they're not. It's a shame to say this. They're not a third period team.
Right. So
Yeah.
we saw that with the Islanders last year, just like giving up leads, like left and
They
right.
fall apart.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's the same thing. And what do they do to like try to make that shift? Like to say like let's throw away this pass and like let's start a new season like from here. Like how do we kick them to get like to get going?
I'd probably say with the Islanders, it's got to come down to the trap. They've been using the trap for years now, and it's just not as consistent as I think other people would think it is. And we saw this with Barry Trotz. We saw this with a bunch of who's their
They
Roy
have
right
Roy
now.
now.
Yeah.
I like
Waugh.
Roy or Wall, sure.
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh, I like that, but I think they need to stop with the trap because
Yeah.
it's just not working.
It's not working. It's boring to watch. That's
Oh,
why there's no
oh my
Islander
God.
fans. And I mean, I'm an Islander fan, so I'll still
Yeah.
watch. But that's why there's no fans at the games as well.
Yeah.
I was watching their game against the Devils on Saturday, and they have like a bunch of injuries as well. Like Barzell's out, and they have
Yeah.
like so it's
Yeah, it's not looking too pleasant
No.
for them right
Yeah,
now.
it's
I think they could sneak in as a wild card team.
they always seem to
They
like,
always do.
they
I
always
think-
sneak in.
I think one of these years it's either gonna be they're just gonna like run out of gas as
Mhm.
like they always do,
Yeah.
or when they're just gonna go off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the New York Islanders, they're in purgatory.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a manager that's slow. He's losing it. They need a young guy to like start making moves. Their biggest move was Duclair, and he's out. So now what do? Duclair's out, Barzell's out, Dobson I think was hurt, and Pellick.
He signed up.
They're injury riddled.
They need to have a good day at the deadline.
Yeah.
That's the biggest standpoint.
He's been a tough setting for sure for the
Yeah.
Islanders.
Yeah.
But I think the Islanders, like you guys said, the Islanders, they'll make a wild card spot. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think
think
so.
it's gonna be an exciting year to watch hockey this
Oh yeah.
season.
Oh yeah.
Lots of big
Surprises,
for sure.
Storylines here to come.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
think that's a good time to end,
Yep.
and we'll throw it over to fantasy football.
thanks for watching.
Pioneers, welcome back to the SMC Podcast 2. We are here now with our fantasy football segment. You're joined here by Nick Bostico,
Dom July, Alex Deltea,
and James Spoto.
and like I said, we're going to be talking about some fantasy football today. And let's get right into this. So, guys, first off, who has been some of the surprising players that we have seen from our NFL fantasy leagues?
Well, let's talk about the performance last week. 55.4 points for none other than Jamar Chase. 3 touchdowns, 264 yards in that game against Baltimore. Still lost the game, which that's got to be disappointment for Jamar after that performance. But that's just like an outlier stat that we had last week.
I had a league where I had a bye player in and a missing space, and I had Jamar Chase on my team. Jamar scored like 20 less points than the other team I played's entire team.
Wow.
Like he I think he's waking up now.
It's crazy the numbers he's putting up. I mean, right now T. Higgins isn't playing, which is what is he gonna do when T. Higgins comes back? But you've seen the past 3 weeks he's getting like 10 plus targets. He's getting looks from Joe Burrow, and the run game is still there. I mean, they just lost Zach Moss, but they still got Chase Brown there too. So I definitely think that Jamar's still headed up from here. But last week's performance was just insane.
Yeah. Still on the topic of the AFC North, on consistency, Lamar Jackson's been doing really well.
Oh yeah.
I really like the way he's been playing. You know, he's obviously dominating every single week, putting up a minimum of 25 points a week. So definitely doing.
I also wanted to give a shout out to Bo Nix. I mean, he put up a fight last week against KC, and I feel like he's really getting into form. Denver's been looking a little bit better, which is also kind of nice. So
Yeah.
it's good to see him starting off fresh. And Jaden Daniels, another rookie, he has been looking better than ever with the Commanders. I mean,
yeah.
it was a tough loss last week, but I still think that team is going to be scary in the playoffs.
Yeah. And if we talk about Baltimore, Derrick Henry, I mean, he's a beast. You know, he gets 2 thumbs up. He's got a great performer every week. He hasn't had a fantasy performance in single digits. He's like 10, I think his lowest is like 10. 12 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, 184 carries. That's if we talk about like the NFL side, you know, he's the piece I feel like Baltimore needed. Yeah. And at the same time, on fantasy side, he can be a great use for anyone's team.
Yeah, 100%.
And you still see them making a splash in the trade market with Deontay Johnson. I mean, they haven't really used him yet. I think he played like 1 snap in the other game against the Bengals, but still, that team is really scary. And at the start of the year, we didn't really know about them, but now Derrick Henry's picking up the pace, and he's only getting paid like $8 million a year. I saw some Instagram posts today, like 10 running backs are getting paid more than him, and putting up better stats than all these guys.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd like to call out one player. I think that Joe Mixon has been playing pretty solid. You know, I didn't really expect much from him with the Texans, especially, you know, after getting Stephon Diggs to the team, because now you have that wide receiver room. It's crazy, and obviously we know Stroud loves to throw the ball.
You got Nico coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't expect much from Joe Mixon, but he's been doing well. You know, he's got 150.4 points so far in fantasy, and I don't think he's going to be stopping anytime soon.
What else that I like about Joe Mixon is how he bounced back after his injury. I mean, he was out for a couple of weeks. You had his Cam Akers replacing him, and then now you see him starting to pick up the pace, starting to get really better. Another guy who I want to see come back off of injury, Nick Chubb. Yeah, I think this week is he could be in for a very big workload. I mean, the Browns are, you know, they traded away Amari Cooper. You think they're tanking, but you know they want to see Nick Chubb at least be successful a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Nick Chubb is going to be a player to see. Dom, any what are your thoughts?
Alex, hold the thumbs up. I like how Justin Jefferson has been playing. He's been pretty surprising.
I mean, with the start of the year with JJ McCarthy,
no one really thought that the Vikings were just good.
I remember my dad came up to me and he was like, I drafted Justin Jefferson, but now I realize he doesn't even have a quarterback. Yeah. But then he just started going off the first few weeks, and he has
Sam Darnold too. Who would have thought he was going to go?
Would have thought that.
Let's even mention Aaron Jones. Yeah. I mean, he's going crazy too. He's on a new team. He just went from Green Bay to the Vikings.
Yeah.
So he's been great. He's been great for my team personally.
You know how I traded away a CD Lamb for Mike Evans and Jason Tolbert.
How did that end up?
You had to be on something. You had to be on something.
It was right before Mike Evans got hurt.
Mike Evans is putting up good numbers.
Mike Evans, yeah, he was putting up good numbers, but FT.
I mean, now when you look at it,
FT.
Now when you look at it with Chris Godwin's injury, Mike Evans is just skyrocketing.
I think Mike Evans, when he comes back, he's gonna help my team.
But what's CD Lamb gonna do?
Yeah,
now?
CD doesn't have a quarterback anymore. Dak's gone.
Yeah.
I think we've had a very surprising year. Rishi Rice looked fantastic.
Yeah,
And
Mahomes took
out,
out his name.
Mahomes
Took
took him out for the year.
But now Mahomes got
DeAndre
Yeah.
Hopkins.
Yeah,
Deion,
He's been
and I
looking
think
good.
he's gonna start throwing the ball to Worthy more.
he will
like
for
Worthy.
sure.
Yeah, I like him.
Kareem Hunt, that was the replacement for Pacheco.
Yeah, what about
he's been great.
Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara,
He's been a
Chris-
surprise.
I think he's always good every year. His PPR value is just so high.
Yeah.
He gets at least 6+ catches a game. That's 6 points, and he's always putting up yards on that. But last game, he had a very crucial drop. I don't know if you guys saw the deep ball that he had at the end of the game. That crucial drop, but still, he kept his head high. I mean, I think he's still gonna have.
That's such a disappointing though drop. Like I remember watching, I was like, that now it's in your hands.
I know.
I'd like to talk about someone that's kind of been a little bit disappointed. I'm not saying he's bad, but DeAndre Swift has been like really inconsistent. He was like really bad for the first 3 weeks. He had a really good week in week 4, had mediocre weeks in 5 and 6, and then ever since then he's just been going downhill.
I think it's tough with the Bears. You looked at the start of the season, they brought in Caleb, but they didn't do anything to that O-line.
Yeah, but Caleb hasn't been impressive.
I know.
Yeah, Caleb hasn't been.
I was talking with Dom. We talked about this a lot. We're like, what if the Bears kept that number 1 pick, and they just kept Fields, and they drafted Mark, drafted an O-line.
When it comes to Caleb Williams,
I know.
When it comes to Justin Fields, I wouldn't even blame Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is at fault. I think it's Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy, when Justin Fields was a rookie, Matt Nagy's played Andy Dalton over Justin Fields because
and I think Justin Fields would have been the better option.
Yeah.
I think they should have
believed in him.
Yeah,
He's been great in Pittsburgh. He
looks fantastic.
I don't know how many rushing touchdowns he's had, but I've seen him in the end zone multiple times. And then you have Russell Wilson as now the number 1 guy, and he's been great for Pittsburgh. He was due after last season with a terrible Broncos country let's ride season. Like he was terrible for them. And then if you go back to the Bears, because Caleb Williams is struggling, so is DJ Moore's numbers.
Yeah.
what about Fields to the Giants?
I would love that. I would love anyone but Daniel Jones.
Like, no,
Jones.
I don't think it's a terrible thing because Fields, obviously, he is very, like, low rated in the NFL. Not a lot of people see him as, like, a high contending quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a terrible idea. Giants, obviously, they're going to get, if not the first, the second overall pick, right? Then we got to look at people like, oh, no, don't take a quarterback now. Wait till the next draft so we can get Arch Manning and everything. But it's like, I don't know how much you can say that we're going to be an even worse team next year.
Yeah, I think the Giants need an offensive line, and I think they need a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones is obviously not the answer anymore. We need him out. But even while Daniel Jones has his struggles, Malik Neighbors is still going crazy. He was the number 1 receiver for a while in fantasy. And he could probably be a star if he has a better QB.
Yeah. I think I want to bring up another disappointment or like kind of been a bust, but this wide receiver room in the Jets. You saw
Devontae Adams.
Like, what's with them? I mean, Devontae, you expected him coming to the Jets. You saw him on the Pat McAfee show entering with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I have.
Like, these guys are going to be good.
I think the Jets are cursed.
They
Like, how you gonna have a wide receiver room with Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, and Garrett Wilson and still suck?
Right.
Like, let's talk about that for a second. That is
It's just Aaron Rodgers is washed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Be honestly, like, Rodgers is washed. I think he saw Tom Brady in Tampa Bay.
I was like, I'm going to do the same thing, but he
can't do the same thing.
He is not Tom Brady.
I mean, to add on to their wide receiver room, you also have Breece Hall as your running back.
Right. What else?
And your defense, you have the best quarterback.
Saucy
sauce.
Yeah. Saucy sauce.
I mean,
I got to.
Their team is just so good. I don't know how.
It's Aaron Rodgers. It's the quarterback.
Aaron Rodgers. He belongs in Florida.
Zach Wilson. They should have trusted Zach Wilson.
He doesn't belong on the field. He just tore his freaking leg open, and he's still on the field. Like, he doesn't belong there. He should be gone.
Yeah, he needs to just.
And then the Jets, they're like, let's not blame Rodgers. Like 2 seasons ago, they were blaming Wilson. Who is it? Wilson?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. They were blaming him. They can't blame him anymore. He was in Jacksonville. He had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
No, over the summer, I got the opportunity. I was actually with Will McDonald, and I was able to interview him too. And I was talking with him and just kind of going along with like, like full honesty, like how are you guys? Is the defense going to be consistent this year? Blah blah blah. And obviously you can't say like, no, yeah, no, I think we're going to suck. It's not like that. But it's just, I just saw like this little bit of, inside of him with not a lot of faith in the defense. But I really hope the Jets start to pick it up. I'm a Giants fan, but I'd like to see something. They're taking on the Colts this week.
Hey, the Bills.
That's a winnable.
I also think that firing Saleh, like maybe that wasn't the answer. I think Saleh.
I don't like that.
I was like defensive-minded coach, and now their defense has just gone into the slumps.
I don't like the Saleh fire. I think that they should have let it go the full season, see better coaches to hire at the end of the year rather.
Because then
they're stuck in a little predicament in the middle of the season.
You see Saleh a couple of days later with the Packers. I think he was working with LaFleur, and I think that his abilities could have been used with the Jets for the rest of the season. I don't think it was right to let him go.
Yeah, the Jets never had a problem on defense. I feel like it's always their offense. And with that firing, they look worse. I don't know.
I feel like it kind of ruined the chemistry.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
It's just the Jets have such a good team on paper. Like they're a playoff team, arguably a divisional championship team.
Arguably a Super Bowl team.
Still got a shot. Let's look.
That's what the
playoff picture in the AFC is so different than what it was like years ago. I mean, there's teams that are at 500 right now and still are in the wild card. I mean, I think the Jets, they're not out of it, but it's just going to be tough for them to get back in.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Like, they play Indiana on Sunday.
That's probably a loss.
You think so?
Jonathan Taylor's been crazy.
Who knows? I mean, I know the
see
QB,
what they can do. I know the QB problems are
Richardson started.
Different. Yeah,
Richardson is starting. So it is going to be a lot different.
I hope Jonathan Taylor pops off. He's on my team, so
I would love to see the Jets make a little comeback, sneak into the playoffs.
I mean, I don't really want to see that as a Pats fan, but
I'm a Giants. I remember watching like preseason clips, and they just like would continue to go on with the Jets, and they're like, oh, they're gonna be 12-win team next season, and I think I saved that video just to watch it after and see that they are like now they're just a terrible team. Yeah. But they have a good team on paper, right? Like we said, it's just something about it. Maybe
they show that on the field. That's really what they got to figure out.
In other news, I mean, we have great running back numbers, like we were talking about. Like I think it's just been a great running back season for fantasy.
And now you got CMC coming back, so it's only going to go up. I think that first game when he came back, I did not think he was going to get that big of a workload, but he was on the field for a majority of the snaps. It was crazy to see.
The fact that guy still does not have a Super Bowl yet blows my mind. I know he started his seasons or his career with Carolina. It's Carolina.
He did lose last year 10 points.
Yeah, I know.
But
that was such
the best.
I don't know how they didn't win that Super Bowl. That's just.
Right. I feel like that was destined for Mahomes. I mean, he's been looking great. This season he hasn't benched, but he's starting to pick it up with Hopkins now. I like it now with Hopkins. I think he's starting to pick it up. He's 8.
They are still they're still undefeated.
And that blocked field goal.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get what the Chiefs do. Like, how do you? They're God's team.
How do you have how does that kick get blocked? I really don't get it. I just. Don't bet against it.
The announcer, an invisible referee. They just block the field goal. The refs are always on there.
Seriously, dude. That announcer.
Oh yeah, on the broadcasting.
They won.
It hasn't happened 8 times this season.
Yeah. The Niners. We'll talk about a little bit more about the Niners. They're 5-4. They're still second in the West behind the Cardinals, who also have been pretty surprisingly great. But the Niners, I feel like they've had injuries all season, and yet they still are proving that they're not going to back down.
Purdy, man, he steps up to the plate.
Yeah, right.
That whole team on his back.
I like the Cardinals where they are. I mean,
I like Kyler Murray.
100%.
I love watching.
I've loved watching him this season. Kyler, I think him running the ball is scary. He can get out there fast. I mean, I know he's small dude on the field compared to everyone else, but I think that he is very dangerous when he's out of the pocket and throwing it.
Oh yeah.
And now that he has Marv, That's what I mean. That's really all he has, and McBride. But like,
Yeah, and when
honestly-
he doesn't want to run the ball, James Conner's the one
James
who's
Conner's there. He's been playing good.
I wasn't even really a believer in Marv at the beginning of the season, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's it.
Yeah.
So
He's been kind of inconsistent, but when he shows up good, and they win those games. It's nice to see it.
Lions. Sorry.
The Lions are them.
Lions are good.
8-1.
Jared Goff.
I think the dynamic duo in the backfield, Gibbs and Monty, that's going to be there for a while.
Sound like a Knuckles?
I like them. I just have this feeling that they're not. I just have a feeling it's all gonna
crumble.
It's all gonna crumble.
What do you guys think?
Why do you think that?
What do you guys think?
I don't know. They're just the Lions. It's just it doesn't. The thought of the Lions even being close to a Super Bowl
It's crazy
to me
to think
just
about.
doesn't. It just
They were
doesn't
just
register.
2 wins
Right.
away from the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, they weren't. They had a
I'm
great
not, I'm not against the Lions Super Bowl. I'm just saying, with everything in the universe, the last thing I see is the Lions.
Do you think if Jared Goff actually gets a Super Bowl ring, he solidifies himself as a top 10 QB
Of
all time.
of this?
all the QBs around the league right now. I think
Yeah, I think he's top 10 quarterback and as of now.
last
Let's-
did look awful.
No, I know it did. I know it did, but
Yeah.
I mean, you got Stafford. Stafford's basically done the same thing. He's
Stafford, I think, is top 5.
Talking about
league.
Yeah.
yeah, I could agree with that because what he did with the Rams,
talking about the Rams
coming
right
from
now,
a really bad Lions team, comes to the Rams,
Yeah.
brings them that Super Bowl,
Yeah.
makes Cooper Kupp the next
he still has a good wide receiver room right now too, and he's got a running back.
Puka.
I think the Rams are still a scary team too. They're sitting at 4 and
They
5.
just need to execute more. I think Miami is upset. Tua is not.
Miami is.
What do you guys think of Tua? There's a lot of mixed.
He's an idiot. I think he's an idiot.
They need
you
to
look
get
at
out of the league.
you look at last game, he goes for a diving tackle, and it's like you're the last person in the world who should be going for a diving tackle.
I think we say after every discussion, we're like, one more, he's done. One more, he's done.
need a
He's
qu-
never.
the-
I
the
don't
Giant-
think he's ever.
The
Yeah.
Dolphins need a new quarterback.
It's sad because he is a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. You've seen the Dolphins thrive with him as a QB.
I agree
But-
with that.
It's just sad that he's so concussion prone that they can't have that. And then you have Tyreek Hill there. He should be putting up if we're talking about fantasy, he should be putting up fantasy points that look like Jamar Chase's, like Justin Jefferson,
Whenever Tyreek
like
got
Malik's.
the ball, the refs always move the sticks. Tyreek gets the ball, move the sticks.
He always got those first downs. And also adding on to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. He has been a bust this season. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest busts, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the quarterback though. You need someone that can the deep type to what reminds me of Daniel Jones in a sense.
Well, he's not that bad.
No, I don't think Tua is good.
I think some of his IQ on the field it's gone down since he came into
He
the
can't throw the ball. He's
Daniel
lefty.
Jones.
He's the only lefty.
He can hit
quarterback.
Tyreek on the deep balls, but his IQ on the field is starting to get
He's the
lower as he
only-
gets more.
He's the only lefty quarterback and the best wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
hit him on the deep ball.
just throw it out. Sam Darnold. He's got one of the best wide receivers.
Yeah.
doing chest running. And Sam Darnold is a rookie year, but
All right, guys, let's end this podcast right here with our prediction. Mike Tyson or Jake Paul?
Oh, Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to be it. Thank you, guys. This has been SMC podcast number 2.
All right.